Welcome to episode 144 of the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm going over the best rookie running backs in the NFL this year. The three finalists we can obviously all tell is Antonio Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and James Robinson. Of course, there's extra talent on other teams, rookie running back wise, between the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, Chargers, Joshua Kelly. But the three finalists we can all, pretty much most of us can agree upon, come down to Gibson, Helaire, and Robinson. First thing we want to look at these guys is just their style of play, their frame, their size, their speed, etc. Gibson runs a 4.39, Clyde Edwards-Helaire runs 4.61, and James Robinson 4.64, 40-yard dash times, of course. So clearly, just based off that, you can tell Antonio Gibson's a straightaway speed guy out compared to Clyde Edwards-Helaire and James Robinson, so you want to give him the point there compared to speed. Then if you're looking at frame and size, Antonio Gibson's 6'2", 220, pretty big for a running back. Most running backs are in the 5-foot range, maybe 6 foot, 6'1". It's pretty rare to get a big guy like 6'2", unless you're Derrick Henry and you're just the size of a linebacker and tight end all in one. Then Helaire's kind of a short dude, 5'8", 209, and James Robinson's 5'9", 219. So just based off that height, weight, and speed, you could definitely tell these type of runners what these type of runners are. Antonio Gibson being 6'2" and 4.39, used to be a wide receiver / running back in college at Memphis. To me, I see him as kind of an Alvin Kamara, Le'Veon Bell in his prime days with the Steelers type of dude. He's really shifty, really elusive, and of course he could take a hit, but he's really not going to truck anyone like Adrian Peterson would or Jerome Bettis Bus would. Really, he's just a Le'Veon Bell, Alvin Kamara type of character in my opinion. That's who I see him being, his running style in his future. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, short dude. He's kind of in the middle between shiftiness and power. I would definitely say him and James Robinson are really similar. They both are shifty and powerful, but definitely Gibson, I would say, is the shiftiest, I guess, the most agile. But Robinson and Helaire definitely have a lot more strength to compare to Gibson. James Robinson, I would say, is kind of like a Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette on his Jaguar years himself type of player. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I've actually compared to some old players like Doug Martin on the Bucks, his prime year. Brian Westbrook, old player for the Eagles running back, and maybe even a young Frank Gore in the Niners. So really all those guys are comparable between Clyde Edwards-Helaire and James Robinson. You really can't nitpick. Their styles are very similar. They're really just going to run through guys. Obviously, they're not truckloads like Derrick Henry or Adrian Peterson, but they do have the power to knock someone down, a given safety, a given corner, unless they're taking on, like, say, Earl Thomas or Bobby Wagner. They're going to go through most of the guys trying to tackle them, and that's just what they're good at, breaking tackles. Antonio Gibson's good at getting away from tackles, if that makes sense. If you look at their stats this year, Antonio Gibson's, all three running backs are 4.6 yards per carry. Really can't pick and choose there. Pick whoever you want, I guess, who you're going to hand the ball to on a handoff. Antonio Gibson's leading in touchdowns as he has 11. James Robinson has 6. Clyde Edwards has 4. But rushing yards wise, James Robinson has 890, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has 692, and Gibson has 645. So of course James Robinson has about 200 yards more than both of them. But if you consider them having the same yards per carry, it just means James Robinson's getting the ball a lot more than the other dudes are. So when I have to think about which rookie running back is the best, it's really kind of a preference thing of what type of style you want. Do you want a running back that's going to be patient like Antonio Gibson is in his Le'Veon Bell style, just waiting for the pocket to open and then running through it, being fast enough to get away from guys? Or do you want James Robinson, who's going to just run someone over? Or do you want Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's kind of in the middle between all the three? For me, and you have to consider the situation these guys are in. I mean, Antonio Gibson, he's on the Washington football team, so he might be better if he was on a great team compared to that awful team. He's really carrying the Redskins football team to the playoffs, in my opinion. I don't want to say carrying, but he's definitely a big part of that. James Robinson, similar situation for him. Not a great team for him to be on, so he might even be better somewhere else, and we're just seeing a sneak peek of how good he is, like Antonio Gibson. And then you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, likely going to win a Super Bowl this year just because he's on the Chiefs. He's on probably the best team you could be on, but with Clyde Edwards-Helaire being on the Chiefs and them also having Patrick Mahomes, the run game isn't needed as much, so his snaps and himself are limited, and we don't know how good he could be. So all of these guys, I think, are really held back from their potential, in my opinion. Obviously, James Robinson and Antonio Gibson get the ball a lot, but they don't have the team around them to protect him, create holes to open, and just, open up their potential and see what they could do completely. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he is given the opportunities with the team around him, but not enough. So it's really, really close on the situations they're in. It's all different. They all have their pros and cons. But like I said, the preference on who's the best just comes down to who you want. Antonio Gibson, the speed guy, shifty guy. James Robinson, run someone over. And not to say he's not elusive, because he very is. He could juke anyone out. But Antonio Gibson could probably do it better. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right in the middle between those two. Lots of power, lots of elusiveness, just right in the middle. For me, who I'm probably going to go with at running back, if I had to pick to put on my team, would probably be Antonio Gibson, just because that size frame at 6'2" is pretty rare to have, and it's good to have some height on your team in the running back position, just because it's so rare. Definitely want to jump on it when that opportunity comes. But in my opinion, you really can't go wrong. None of these guys are probably going to win Rookie of the Year totally, just because Justin Herbert's taken off above everyone else. I mean, even after him, you got the wide receivers doing well, such as Justin Jefferson, Chase Claypool, CeeDee Lamb. The running backs are kind of looked at last, if you think about it. But for starting a team, for me, it is Antonio Gibson, just because I like that Le'Veon Bell, Alvin Kamara type of style where they could catch it out of the backfield. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is great at that also. But for me, I just like Gibson, but you can't go wrong either way. I'm just going to take the Le'Veon Bell type of style over the young Frank Gore, Kareem Hunt type of style. 2-minute warning.